الوقت وأيضا ممن كانوا مصابين بمرض البرص.
Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah, the new team is being very well prepared. The first day was quite encouraging. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Yes, please.
هذا المبشر المسيحي بعض المرضى كان من بينهم المصابين بالشلل والعمي وغيرهم من الأمراض الأخرى مثل مرض البرص، وتلك الأمراض لم يكن لها علاج في ذلك الوقت. وطلب من سيدنا الإمام المهدي عليه السلام: إنك تدعي أنك مسيح هذا الزمان، فأثبت صدقك وعالج هؤلاء المرضى. إذ أن مسيحنا أي مسيح بني إسرائيل عالج أمراضا مختلفة منها البرص وأحيا الأموات ورزق النظر للعميان. فهذا هو امتحانك. في هذه الظروف أوجس صحابة سيدنا الإمام المهدي خيفة في أنفسهم، لأنهم كانوا يعلمون أن هذه الأمور صعب تحققها، إذ أنها ذكرت في القرآن الكريم بصيغة المجاز، ومن الصعب إقناع الحاضرين بذلك. ولكن سيدنا الإمام المهدي عليه السلام لم يفقد تركيزه ولم يوجس أي خيفة، بل بالعكس شكر هذا المبشر المسيحي على إحضاره هؤلاء المرضى، وأعلن على الملأ أن المسيح الناصري في واقع الأمر أحيا الموتى الروحانيين، أي هداهم إلى الصراط المستقيم وتحصلوا على القرب من الله عز وجل، وهكذا وهبت لهم حياة روحانية، أي أحياهم الله بصيغة المزاج. وأيضا شفى العمي الروحانيين، فأصبحوا ممن يرون علامات صدق وجود الله وصدق نبوته عليه السلام. وشفى المصابين بالشلل، أي أولئك الذين لم يكن بوسعهم السفر لله سبحانه وتعالى والوصول إلى الدرجات العلى، فبعد أن عالجهم روحانيا دخلوا في زمرة من هاجروا إلى الله. ثم أكد سيدنا الإمام المهدي أن ما قاله هو عقيدته منذ بداية دعواه للمهدوي، أي أن معجزات المسيح الناصري ذكرت في القرآن الكريم بصيغة المجاز ولم تتحقق حرفيا. ثم أعلن على الملأ بما أنك تصر، أي لهذا المبشر المسيحي، أن هذه المعجزات تحققت حرفيا، وذلك طبقا لنبوءات الإنجيل التي ذكر فيها أنكم إذا كنتم تؤمنون بي حق الإيمان، أي إذا كان المسيحيين يؤمنون بسيدنا المسيح الناصري حق الإيمان، فبإمكانهم تحقيق نفس المعجزات التي حققها هو بنفسه. وهكذا دعا سيدنا الإمام المهدي كل الحاضرين من المسيحيين وأعلن: إذا كانت في قلوبكم ذرة واحدة من الإيمان بصدق نبيكم المسيح الناصري فاشفوا هؤلاء المرضى الذين أحضرتموهم. وهكذا بهت الجميع.
Why should they do it? Have you mentioned it?
Yes. Because Hazrat
Masih said that.
Yes, I mentioned.
But have you given the reference?
Yes.
I didn't hear reference.
Where is it written?
No, the reference.
He gave it.
Have you given the reference of the book?
No, not reference. I didn't have.
Because I didn't give, so you
Yes.
also didn't give.
Yes.
But the fact is, now we had time. Offhand I didn't remember. So I thought you would have looked into it, because if we gave exact reference of where Jesus had said that, it would become a stronger response than before, right? But anyway, people know it generally. Please continue.
ذكر أمير المؤمنين أنه من الواجب أن نذكر هذا المرجع بالإنجيل بالضبط، وأكدت لحضرته أنه بنفسه لم يذكر ذلك، فقال هذه ليست نقطة هامة. نواصل الآن الترجمة. وهكذا بهت الجميع، وانتهت هذه المناظرة إثر هذا المشهد العظيم. ولكن ولسوء نية علماء السوء هؤلاء، هم لا يذكرون مثل هذه الواقعات للإخوة العرب، وإنما يذكرون لهم حوادث من طراز لا تقرب الصلاة، أي يقدمون جزءا مشوها من حوادث مختلفة ليصدوا الناس عن طريق الله. يقول أمير المؤمنين أن القرار قد اتخذ في نفس ذلك الوقت، أي أن الحاضرين من المسيحيين في تلك المناظرة كانوا مخطئين ولا يتبعون الطريق المستقيم، أو أن نبيهم المسيح الناصري لم يكن والعياذ بالله صادقا، إذ أنه أنبأ أن من كان في قلبه ذرة إيمان واحدة بإمكانه أن يقوم بنفس المعجزات التي قام هو بها بدوره. فإذا لم يكن بين الحاضرين أي مسيحي تصدق فيه هذه النبوة، فكيف تدعوننا نحن أي المسلمون إلى عقيدة ميتة، أي عقيدة لم تعطي ولا واحد من معتنقيها شرف تحقيق نبوة واحدة من نبوات نبيها؟ وهكذا أوقعهم الله سبحانه وتعالى في فخهم الذي نصبوه لسيدنا الإمام المهدي. ثم أعلن سيدنا المهدي أن الله أخبره أنه إذا لا يتوقف هذا المبشر عن شتمه لنبي الإسلام محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فسيلقي به في الهاوية، أي الموت والخزي. بعد إعلان هذه النبوة العظيمة عاش هذا المبشر لحوالي 15 شهرا، كانت بمثابة جحيم له. بعد ذلك تراجع في هذه الفترة عن
How long did he live?
for 15 months.
No.
Sorry.
This is where I couldn't explain myself properly. This is the prophecy of Hazrat Masih Maud which he made after the debate was over on the last day. He said, during this debate I have been praying to Allah to show some additional sign from yourself, from heavens, so that the truth may become manifest for the people who are incapable of just following the arguments and counter-arguments and the intricacies of these things. Everybody should be able to see this ijaz openly. So last night, according to that day when Mr. declared, he said, the previous night I have been categorically told by God that if this man did not repent, did not mend his ways, then within 15 months from that he is going to be shoved into Haviya, and nothing would be able to save him. But if he repents and shows fear of Allah, then this will not happen. This I'll read the wording in Urdu and then I'll translate it verbatim. From that you will be able to understand that this was the conditional promise made, or conditional inzar given to Abdullah Atham at the end of the Mubahala, of this Munazara. First of all, when Hazrat Masih Maud mentioned this, these were the words I am going to read. आज रात जो मुझ पर खुला वो ये है कि जबकि मैंने बहुत तज़र्र और इब्तिहाल से जनाब इलाही में दुआ की, तो इस अमर में फैसला कि तू इस अमर में फैसला कर, और हम आजिज़ बंदे हैं, तेरे फासले के फैसले के सिवा कुछ नहीं कर सकते। तो उसने मुझे ये निशान बशारत के तौर पर दिया है। इस बहस में दोनों फरीकों में से जो फरीक अमदन झूठ को इख्तियार कर रहा है और सच्चे खुदा को छोड़ रहा है और आजिज इंसान को खुदा बना रहा है, आई एम गोइंग टू ट्रांसलेट वेदर यू अंडरस्टैंड, वो इन्हीं दिनों मुबाहसा के लिहाज से यानी फी दिन एक महीना लेकर यानी 15 माह तक हाविया में गिराया जाएगा और उसको सख्त जिल्लत पहुंचेगी बशर्ती के हक की तरफ रुजू ना करे, और जो शख्स सच पर है और सच्चे खुदा को मानता है उसकी इससे इज्जत जाहिर होगी, और उस वक्त जब ये पेशगोई ज़ुहूर में आवेगी, बाज़ अंधे सुजाखे किए जाएंगे और बाज़ अंगले चले लगेंगे और बाज़ बहरे सुनने लगेंगे. These are the very words in which he announced this prophecy. He said, after presenting my case to Allah with absolute humility and crying before Him, I begged Him to show us a sign from yourself. Then last night I was told that this is a sign which is going to be vouched to you. He said, इस बहस में दोनों फरीकों में से जो फरीक अमदन झूठ इख्तियार कर रहा है, out of the two parties locked in this debate, the one which is intentionally telling lies. This was the first condition. And leaving the only one true God makes a God out of a humble servant of God. That party would meet its ignoble or disastrous end by the end of 15 months, starting from that. Because there are 15 days for the munazara. For each day, one month will stand to represent the day. So that was the significance of 15 months. बशर्ते के हक़ की तरफ रुजू न करे, on the condition that he does not repent and mend his ways and is inclined towards truth. If he does so, then he will not die within 15 months. Now, first of all, the word death was not used, but he will be shoved into Haviya. Haviya could be taken as death, or as Mr. Swam translated it, disgrace, and to be dishonored utterly. That also is a translation of Haviya which Mr. Swam has mentioned here. और उस वक्त जब ये पेशगोई ज़ुहूर में आवेगी, when and at the time when this prophecy is fulfilled, it would be then that the blind would begin to see. It would be then that those who are dumb will begin to speak. Will begin to, those which are cannot walk on their legs will begin to walk, and those who are deaf and dumb will be cured and begin to say. Yeah, these are the words. Now, what happened to Abdullah Atham after this? Sheikh Nur Ahmed, the proprietor of Riyadh Hind Press of Amritsar, published his written statement because he was following the moves of Abdullah Atham wherever he went. And the account published by him during that period is the most important thing. And there are other evidences which will follow later on. He said that, first of all, when Hazrat Masih mentioned this prophecy, we saw him trembling with fear. He jetted his tongue out, held it with his finger, and said, who it is who abuses the Holy Prophet of Islam? I don't. I'm not doing it. And repeatedly said that I cannot dream of insulting Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The first sign appeared there and then. And the condition was partially fulfilled. And the second thing, when this happened, three very important personages of non-Ahmadi Muslims who were also watching the proceedings, they got initiated into Ahmadiyya at the hand of Masih Maud. One Mian Nabi Bakhsh, one Qazi Amir Hussain Sahib Bhelvi, a great, very knowledgeable scholarly man, and Colonel Altaf Ali Khan. At that time, to be in the British Army, to be a colonel was a very big thing, It was like a full left general or something. In those days, very few people were raised beyond the status of what they call rankers. All the rankers they are called. So these people stood witness that what they saw was definitely a victory granted to Masih Maud Islam by Allah. Otherwise they wouldn't have accepted Ahmadiyyat at that time. Now then begins the fate of Atam, how it is unfolded, how he behaves. But that I'll speak of after the translation, not before that.
مش هتبدأ تترجم؟
وضح أمير المؤمنين هذه النقطة أكثر من البارحة، وقال أن سيدنا الإمام المهدي عليه السلام في آخر يوم لهذه المناظرة أعلن أنه قد تضرع لله بالبارحة، وأن الله سبحانه وتعالى قد أخبره أن هنالك فريق من بين هذين الفريقين المتقابلين في هذه المناظرة سوف ينجو عند انتهاء مدة معينة، وهكذا المدة جعلت 15 شهر، أي لأن المناظرة دامت ل15 يوم، وكأن كل يوم كان يساوي شهرا، يعني كتحديد لهذه النبوة كي تتحقق. ونص النبوة كما قرأه أمير المؤمنين باللغة الأردية، وسأحاول ترجمة ذلك أنه يبدو أنه أمر صعب قليلا، كان مغزاه أنه إذا تراجع، يعني عفوا، هذا الشخص الذي كان يشتم الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا لا يتراجع في شتمه.
First of all, he said there are two parties involved. That party which believes in an artificial, synthetic God which is made out of humans, that is the party which will come to a disgrace. Who have concocted a God out of a humble human, that is Christians. That party who has deserted the true God and accepted the God, the Son of God, that party, according to God, is going to see this disgrace which is mentioned here, and will be punished by being shoved into Haviya. Please? But if that party does this and that, then they will escape.
عرض أمير المؤمنين نبأ سيدنا أحمد عليه الصلاة والسلام بالنسبة لهذه المناظرة، وحيث ذكر بأن بعد عرض هذه القضية على الله سبحانه وتعالى بتضرع وذلال، أوحى الله سبحانه وتعالى له أن فريقا من الفريقين الذين يكذبون اعتمادا وجعلوا من الله سبحانه وتعالى، وجعلوا من بين البشر ربا يعبدونه
من دون الله،
ربا من دون الله، فستكون نهايتهم نهاية مشينة وستكون في الهاوية. وهذا بشرط واحد، أن لا يتراجع هذا الفريق عن سبه وشتمه للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، ولن يتراجع عن الكذب إلى الحق. وتنبأ حضرته بأن ستكون نهاية هذا الفريق في خلال 15 شهرا من بعد انتهاء هذه المناظرة، أي أن كل يوم في هذه المناظرة ساوى شهرا من نهاية هذا الفريق. وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين أن كلمة الموت لم تذكر في هذه من ضمن كلمات وحي المسيح الموعود عليه الصلاة والسلام، وإنما ستكون نهايتهم نهاية مشينة وصعبة جدا. وقال حضرته أن بعد ظهور هذا النبأ وتحققه سيبدأ المشلولين أو الذين لم يستطيعوا المشي سيستطيعون بعد ذلك المشي والوقوف على أقدامهم، وكذلك العمي سيرزقون بالنظر. فذكر حضرته أن هنالك شخص يدعى رياض from Amritsar. رياض person رياض
Sheikh, I'm sorry, the name of the person. Sheikh Nur Ahmad.
هنالك شخص يدعى الشيخ نور أحمد. كان هذا الرجل يتابع، كان يذهب وراء هذا القسيس عبد الله آثم، فلذلك رواياته هامة جدا، لأنه كان يلاحقه دائما ويرى ماذا ستكون نتيجته. قال هذا الشخص أن عندما ذكر المسيح الموعود عليه الصلاة والسلام هذا النبأ بأن الله سبحانه وتعالى أنبأه بأن الفريق الكاذب ستكون نهايته نهاية مشينة وأنها ستكون في الهاوية، بدأ هذا القس يرتجف حتى أنه أمسك بلسانه وقال وتراجع وقال: من يسب محمد النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم فإنني لا أسبه، وتراجع عن أعماله. وهنالك أيضا 3 أشخاص لم يكونوا عندئذ أحمديين. What are the names? كولونيل ألطاف علي خان صحيح؟ ثلاثة أشخاص لم تم
ألطاف
علي خان. هؤلاء 3 أشخاص قاموا بمبايعة سيدنا أحمد عليه الصلاة والسلام بعد هذه المناظرة، وما رأوه بعد هذه المناظرة كان كانتصارا لسيدنا أحمد عليه الصلاة والسلام، وإلا لم يبايعوا ولم ينضموا إلى الجماعة الإسلامية الأحمدية. وأن أمير المؤمنين بعد قليل سيذكر ماذا كانت نهاية هذا القسيس عبد الله آثم.
Now this Nur Ahmad Sahib, Sheikh Nur Ahmad, has published a detailed account of what happened to Abdullah Atham, because he was pursuing him and monitoring all that happened to him. So first of all, this idea came to him because he happened to meet the chef of Abdullah Atham, the chief cook of Abdullah Atham, who had been dismissed from service. And this ex-cook who had been dismissed from the service, when inquired, why have you been dismissed? He said, because I was there one night when I saw Abdullah Atham under terrible fear of something happening to him. And he was so obsessed with the idea that he was going to die that he jumped from the bed and fell down on the floor. So restless and tossing right and left. And he said, oh, I'm gone, nothing can save me now. When he said, I witnessed this, the other priests who were watching him and guarding him against any rumors which may spread out, when they noticed that this is a Muslim cook who has witnessed this, they dismissed him from service. And after that, according to this report, they posted sentries in front of his bungalow, who were instructed strictly never to permit any Muslim to enter that bungalow to meet this man. Be it an Ahmadi or a non-Ahmadi, it doesn't make any difference. No Muslim would be permitted to see this man because he was in a state of terror. Then they kept him busy playing chess or showing him magic lanterns and doing day and night, but he worsened and still worsened. Nothing could cure him of this terrible fear of impending death. Then it so happened that people around him, the Christian priests, who were quite healthy and normal and not very old either, they began to die one after the other. One of them ran from Amritsar out of the fear that it may be a haunted place. While he was leaving Amritsar, he had a heart attack in the train and died in the train. One, a very important member of the church, whose name was Priest Wright, he must have been an Englishman, because it was a British church which was organizing all this. He suddenly died as well, without any rhyme or reason. Then they published, their comments, expressed their grief which was published in the press. These are the strange words. इसका हवाला नहीं है. It's very important. We must have. ये इसमें लिखा हुआ है number 2. असल किताब के नीचे हवाला होगा. Please find out. You see, I'm asking him to give the reference of this very important confession, because in obituary to him, God made them commit this mistake. They said, tonight we were beaten by the staff of God's wrath in a manner that we could not expect. And that sword of Allah struck us while we were least expecting it. This is how this Padri Wright died. You see? So terror was encircling and enclosing and becoming tighter and tighter around this man. But because he was all the time repenting, so how could God break his promise? But he was preparing all this around him, so everybody should see that the prophecy has been fulfilled. And that man has reached utter disgrace. And people around him started dying and being afraid of the prophecy. This was the terror which was stuck into the hearts of the Christian leaders involved in this munazara or this debate. Then when the Christians were around, they got absolutely disappointed in what was happening to Abdul Akham, and no amount of encouragement could cure him of this obsession. Then they decided to remove him from Amritsar to Ludhiana, which was a very important stronghold of Christianity in those days. So there also he became restless. Then he was sent from there to Gujarat. Still, that fear would not leave chasing him. Then he was removed to Firozpur. He had recently finished building a beautiful bungalow for himself, which he could not occupy because of this. He continued moving from place to place in search of some piece of art where his terror would not oppress him anymore, but he could not escape this. Now, some other important things. He used to cry day and night, and sometimes he told his companions that I see snakes following me everywhere, and they are very dangerous snakes which are well trained. Talim yafta is the word. It means they are well educated snakes. They would recognize me and they are going to bite me, strike me, or strike at me, they will bite me. Now, when he was removed to Ludhiana, then where it was his own son-in-law who was residing in Ludhiana, so he was sent to him. There he never reported any snakes in Ludhiana, but instead he started seeing visions of armed people, very scary looking, who suddenly appeared before him. He said, "Now you wait and see what happens." So the snakes changed into the vision of armed people. Then he used to cry out and weep and said, No, I'm not that bad, don't do it to me. At last, he published this written statement. He said, मैं आम ईसाइयों के अकीदा और इब्नियत और लूहियत के साथ मुत्तफिक नहीं. I am not in agreement with the Christian belief, common Christian belief of the sonship of Jesus and his Godhead. What else is wujud? It is not. How could this prophecy be told to be false? Imagine. And I do not agree with those who acted insultingly against the word aap is used, which in bracket it is said maybe he meant Hazrat Mirza Sahib. But I'm sure he meant Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah because the issue was not his insulting Hazrat Mirza Sahib. The issue right from the beginning was his insulting and abusive language against Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. So he referred to as aap in Urdu as well. You know, Hazur, like. So he said, I do not agree with any such people who insult or abuse Hazur. Right? Now, after this was over, the Maulvis were waiting to pounce upon Hazrat Masih Maud if this man did not actually die within 15 months. After this, how could he die? I have told you already the tale of people of Jonah and things. It is far clearer than that. Every condition of the prophecy got applicable to this case. Every condition became fulfilled. He was terrorized, he repented, he prayed, he begged Allah with all tazarru, and also announced that he had nothing to do with those of Christians who believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ. Yet, when he did not die physically, then far more than the Christians, largely, in fact, mostly it was the Muslim mullahs who began, launched a tumult of abuses against Hazrat Masih Maud Islam and danced with prayer and said, Mirza has become false, Mirza has become false. That man has been proved false by that Christian. What a shame. First of all, no sane man with an iota of truth and honesty and taqwa would have taken this stance. Secondly, Hazrat Mirza Sahib had offered his honor and everything at stake for the sake of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu honor. And these mullahs who claimed that they loved him more, they were enjoying, and there is it's saying in Urdu, Bagle Bajana, which means people of the lowly type, the urchins of the streets, they do this in India to disgrace a man utterly. Instead of clapping, they do this. This is style. So they practically started doing it in streets and everywhere. Look here, Mirza has been defeated by a Christian. And the issue was, is God one or is God three? The issue was, is Hazrat Muhammad holy or not holy? How disgraceful, how dishonorable. And they are still at it. Now when Hazrat Masih Maud tried to make them see the light of the day by telling them, look here, what are you doing? You are being dishonest to Islam, you are being disloyal to Hazrat Muhammad. It's not me who is involved. It's the enemy against Muhammad whom I took up and confronted on behalf of Islam, on behalf of Muhammad. And what are you doing? They wouldn't resist. Then Hazrat Muhammad prayed, and it happened, 15 months after this munazara. The munazara had taken place in March of 93. So, I'm sorry, May to June, not March, May to June 93. So, July, August, September, in September, next year, the day 15 months were over, right? So, when Masih Maud saw the misbehavior of the Muslim ulama, then he published a challenge, and not only in the newspapers but also through handbills. A challenge of a quantity of 10,000, in a quantity of 10,000, was widely distributed in the cities. At that time, 10,000 was a very big number. In that challenge, he simply offered this thing. He said, Abdullah Atham is the person I'm addressing. Now you tell the whole world, by swearing by God, that whatever we are telling about you is not true. You tell the whole world, by swearing by God, that we are lying and you are never afraid, you never repented, you continue to abuse Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and you never said the words like, I do not believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ, etc. Publish this. He refused. He kept dumb over it. And other Christian leaders started representing him, and then at last he himself refused to abide by this, to accept this. He said, in my religion, I can't swear. That is the only reason why I won't do it. So Hazrat Masih Maud chased him further and said, all right, do this and do that. A year or more passed, and he just would not accept it. Hazrat Masih Maud said, look here, God has told me this. Now, it is a chance for you to prove Christianity to be right and Islam to be wrong. That this time, if he swears by God and publishes his statement, then no condition will be attached. Then whether he repents or not, irrelevant to that, within 1 year this man must die. He refused. He never published such a statement. After 2 years of persuasion, from sending people to him, persuading him somehow or the other that he should publish this statement, he wouldn't. And who was proved right and who was proved wrong? You see? Yet, after exerting some patience, Masih Maud lost his patience and said, all right, now I will pray to God. I pray to God, and God has made known to me that even if he does not announce the way I have requested him to do, he is going to meet his punishment now anyway. And within a matter of a year of this statement, Abdullah Atham died. Abdullah Atham died. And Masih Maud in the previous announcement after the Munazara had also said one thing, that the man who is liar, he will die within the life of the man who's true. So in this way, the death of Abdullah Atham, at last, after this dragged out period of disgrace, a disgrace which hit the entire Christian society of the time, which left them totally defenseless, and they kept on running from places, and the life was miserable for them. Dragged out period of 4 to 5 years intervened from the beginning of the Munazara until Abdullah Atham also died, and everything came to a standstill. Everything quietened. But the party which was involved, it did not dare to say that Mirza Sahib has been defeated and Abdullah will do this and that. The Muslim ulama are still shrieking at the maximum of their voices that the champion of Islam got defeated and the champion of Christianity won. This is in a nutshell the account of what happened during this historic Munazara of Masih Maud Islam, historic debate of Masih Maud Islam. Please. Hazrat Islam, one thing. Hazrat Islam also said one thing, that I'm telling you this. I have thrown this challenge to him. But I know that what I have been telling about him, he did this and that, is so right. And because that man was terrified, so he will dare not swear by God to deny my allegations. So he said, if the Christian priests, if they slaughter him alive, he would rather be slaughtered than go through the same experience again by swearing by God that I am wrong and he is right. That's the last.
أفاد حضرة أمير المؤمنين بالإجابة أو بسرد ما حصل للقس عبد الله آثم، وقال حضرته بأن كان له أحد الطباخين الذي قام هذا القس برفضه وإبعاده عن العمل. فعندما تابع الشخص الذي ذكرناه فيما قبل الذي كان يلاحق هذا القسيس والذي يدعى الراوي يدعى شيخ نور أحمد، فقال هذا الرجل، فذهب هذا الرجل إلى ذلك الطباخ وقال له لماذا رفدت عن العمل؟ فقال هذا الطباخ أن ليلة من الليالي كنت في العمل إذ قام القسيس آدم من النوم مفزعا يهرع خائفا وأن وقد شهد هذا الطباخ ذلك الحدث الذي حدث لهذا القسيس.
And he fell down, crossing restlessly in agony. Before his sight, he fell down from the bed, down upon the floor. This was the extent of his suffering.
فمن الرعب مما كان فيه هذا الشخص قفز من سريره ومن الرعب وقع على الأرض. فشهد ذلك الطباخ هذا الحدث، فعندما علم مساعدوه هذا القسيس عبد الله آثم بأن هذا الطباخ كان مسلما، فقالوا كي لا يسرد هذه الحقائق فمن المفروض ومن المحبذ أن نبعده ونرفضه من العمل. وبعد هذا التقرير الذي نشره هذا الشخص قام المسؤولين وأصدقاء أصدقاء هذا القسيس بحراسة بيته، وأن لا يسمح لأي مسلم أحمديا كان أو غير أحمدي بالدخول إلى بيته. وحاولوا دائما أن يبقوا هذا القسيس مشغولا ويشغلوه بلعب الضام أو الشطرنج وغيرها من الخزعبلات والأشياء الغريبة لكي لا يجن أو يصاب بأي شيء. وأن المساعدين أو المنضمين لهذا القسيس بهذه المناظرة بدأوا يموتون الواحد تلو الآخر، فحتى أن أحدهم من الخوف خرج من أمرتسر خائفا بأن تكون هذه البلدة ملعونة أو أي من هذه الخرافات، فخرج منها بعيدا، وحتى أنه في القطار مات إثر نوبة قلبية. وهنالك أيضا قس آخر ذكره حضرة أمير المؤمنين القس رايت كذلك هو توفي.
European priest by the name of priest Wright.
كذلك هذا الشخص توفي من دون أي سبب أو مرض.
We're not sure of that, but suddenly when he was, what they admitted was without any expectation. It fell like a sword from heaven upon this man, and they admitted in those words.
يصح أمير المؤمنين ويقول أنه لا، نحن لا نعرف، وإنما هذا كان غير متوقعا لهذا الشخص، وإنما هو توفي وكأنه سيف من السماء نزل.
No, what I said was, I inferred this, that he must have died without a disease, without any illness, because in the obituary, in the statement which is published after the death of somebody by way of consolation for his relatives, etc., that's called obituary. In his obituary, the Christians themselves wrote this sentence, that the wrath of God last night fell upon us like a staff which had descended to beat that man and beat Christians. And the sword fell from heaven upon their brother Wright without the least expectation. For them to express this death in these words indicates that how they were overwhelmed by the fear and terror, and they knew what was happening was being done by God, it was not just by chance. So that's why I said no disease, because how could it be unexpected if he had died of disease?
يصح أمير المؤمنين ويقول أنه اقتبس ما نشر في الإعلان الذي نشروه هؤلاء الأشخاص أو إخوته من القساوسة كما يقولون، بأنهم قالوا أن هذا القس انتقل وتوفي من غير أي توقع أو أي سبب، وأن غضب الله نزل عليهم، أو لعنة الله، غضب الله نزل عليهم في الليلة الماضية، وكان سيفا من السماء نزل على هذا القس وأرداه ميتا. فإنهم يعترفون بهذا ويقولون بهذه الكلمات التي استعملت في الإعلان عن وفاة هذا الشخص. فقالوا أيضا أن غضب الله سبحانه وتعالى أرسل جنوده أو
help each other, huh? تعاون ولا البر والتقوى.
بعد هذه الحادثة لم يحس عبد الله آثم هذا بالسكون، وانتقل من مكان لآخر. يعني في واقع الأمر هو غير إلى أماكن كثيرة، منها نقل أولا إلى أمرتسر ثم إلى لوديانا، وأظن في الموقع الثالث كان أيضا في آخر الأمر أرسلوه إلى ججرات ثم إلى فيروزپور. انتقل من مكان لآخر، ولكنه لم يجد سكونا في أي مكان من هذه الأماكن، إذ كما ذكر في نص النبوة أن هذه اللعنة سوف تنزل به إذا لا يتراجع. وكان يبكي ليلا نهارا، وبعد ذلك أصبح يرى رؤى مخيفة، كان يرى ثعابين خطيرة تتابعه وتريد أن تلدغه، وبعد ذلك تغير هذا المشهد المريع، أصبح لا يرى هذه الثعابين، ولكن أصبح يرى جنودا مسلحة بشكل مخيف تراوده وتريد أن تقتله. فكان يتضرع كثيرا وكان يبكي كثيرا في خلوته، وهذا أصبح واضحا لمن كان حوله. وفي آخر الأمر بعد أن تألم كثيرا في هذه الظروف نفذ صبره ونشر اعترافا، يمكن أن نقول أنه اعتراف، واعترف فيه بأنه يتراجع عن إيمانه.
This again I want to be very correct about this. This statement was attributed to him by somebody who reported it to Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, and Hazrat Masih Maud Islam published it. And then following his demand that whatever I have been telling about you, if that is false, swear by God and then you'll be stricken. This is how I said it was published. Not directly by him in any paper, any Christian paper, but when people went to meet him and see what was happening to him, when he heard that somebody had come from Qadian or Masih Islam to inquire things, because sometimes challenges were delivered by hand to him. At one of such occasions, I gathered, this is my understanding from how I read this passage from the book of Hazrat Muslim. And someone reported back to Hazrat Muslim that when he brought up this subject, he said that I do not agree with the Christians when they say that Jesus is a divine figure, he is not a human. I do not agree with the Christians when they say that he is a little son of God and shares divinity. So this was published not directly by him, but through report, but was never denied by him. Right?
لقد وضح أمير المؤمنين بأنه يريد أن يكون دقيقا في هذا بالنسبة لهذا الاقتباس، حيث قال أن هذا الاقتباس أو التقرير نقل عن شخص آخر قام بنقل هذا التقرير للمسيح الموعود عليه الصلاة والسلام، حيث قال أن عن القس عبد الله آثم أنني لا أوافق الإيمان الشائع لدى المسيحيين بألوهية المسيح الناصري، ولا أوافق المسيحية بأن المسيح الناصري عليه الصلاة والسلام ابنا لله.
This happened during the first 15 months. This thing happened.
فهذا الشيء حدث في المدة التي حددها الله سبحانه وتعالى وأنباها للمسيح الموعود عليه الصلاة والسلام 15 شهرا. فماذا يتوقع المرء أكثر من هذا التراجع والتوقف عن سب الإسلام وإهانة ومحاولة إهانة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وقال في مضيفا لا أوافق الناس الذي يسبون الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم والإسلام. وهذا الشيء يتخذه أعداء الجماعة الإسلامية الأحمدية ك
Muslim ulama. They started يوافقون أعداء حضرت محمد مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم. You see?
فبدأ هؤلاء العلماء المسلمين
عبد الله تمرين بالبيت.
فبدأ هؤلاء العلماء المسلمين بموافقة أعداء الإسلام على ضد سيدنا أحمد عليه الصلاة والسلام الذي كان يحاول أن يدافع عن شرف الإسلام ويدافع عن سيرة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وإنهم هم الذين ادعوا وفرحوا لعدم تحقق هذا النبأ حسب ما يدعون، وعلى العكس من ذلك أن هذا القسيس لم يقل أي شيء بأنه انتصر أو كان فوق سيدنا أحمد عليه الصلاة والسلام في هذه المناظرة. فهذا يربطه سيدنا أمير المؤمنين بالحدث الذي حدث لقوم سيدنا يونس عليه الصلاة والسلام. فكان ذلك النبأ الذي أنبأ به سيدنا المسيح الموعود عليه الصلاة والسلام مشروطا، إذا تراجع ذلك الشخص عن أعماله وسبه فلن تتحقق نهايته بأن يكون في الهاوية. وهذا يشبه ما حدث لقوم سيدنا يونس عليه الصلاة والسلام عندما دعوا الله سبحانه وتعالى وتضرعوا منه.
But the time is over now. We'll return tomorrow, inshallah, the same time here. And then you realize what actually happened. Abdullah Atham never claimed that Masih Maud is defeated. The person who should have. The mullahs did. Imagine. But we'll meet tomorrow, inshallah. Right? Assalamu alaikum. Tell them this last bit.
يقول أمير المؤمنين أن الوقت قد أزف وليس لدينا الوقت الكفاية لإكمال الترجمة، فغدا إن شاء الله سوف نتابع الترجمة ونعرف ماذا حدث. فحتى ذلك الحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم.